Detroit is Different is where you get information, artistry, history, music, and even comedy. Detroit is Different, a home for the culture of Detroit. Visit online at DetroitisDifferent.com today.
Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast. And I am in studio with another person that's into production. Somebody that stepped in on something like, when I say like the mob, stepped in like the mob out of nowhere, a lot of experience. So the experience is definitely rooted in Detroit, but it's tapping into Hollywood. It's tapping into New York. It's tapping into Atlanta. It's tapping into places across the world like Paris and so many other things that do this production work. So you're getting more familiar with this whole concept of storytelling. And people are always saying like, Kari, you're a storyteller, right? But stories are told best in the right mediums. So y'all used to stories just, you know what I'm saying, what you, your mama, and your dad would sit around and tell stories. But nowadays they're sold in video, they're told in podcasts, they're told with graphic design, they're told in shorts and everything. You're probably one of them people watching video after video after video on TikTok, wondering yourself like, damn, I can't believe I was so motivated, right? Those people are motivating, most definitely. But the key to making these people motivating and the key to like making this stuff all come together, and the reason why you sitting around and wondering, it's like, damn, how am I just receiving this information out of nowhere and it's impacting me so much in a minute video? It's because production is into it. So with that, we got Production Bae with us. Rachel Simone, how are you today?
Oh, I am doing so good. I'm really tired.
Oh man.
I'm like, I got a whole bunch of jobs. I really got 3 jobs, y'all.
Okay.
But I'm feeling good because we about to do some great things.
Great things, feeling good. I like it already. And I already know one of the things, like in production, I'm about to slide you over in your camera. It's like, see,
I can't see. Okay.
I know it's gonna be one of those things.
But
I'm about to move the camera, so y'all gonna see the timeout. But as we go on that,
I can't wait to get this.
So let's talk. Let's talk a little bit about your start in production and some of the work. What is your passion for this whole flow and feel of video, graphic design, and all of this?
Well, I love that you said that you're a storyteller, because that's what I tell people all the time. Like, producer is my title because we live in a world of titles and we have to fall into something when you're in the, when you're in the field. But I tell stories. I do, like you said, stories are being told on different mediums. So for me, like right now in my producing journey, because I'm going to be in the present, it's about preserving our current history, especially in Detroit, especially for people of color. Because if we don't record it, if we don't document it properly and put it in safe hands, we already know what's going to happen. Because it's already, and history repeats itself. So
I know.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm also transitioning into training and development and staffing. And I know we'll get into that because it's time for y'all to learn, okay? Teach me the game, Ghost. That's what I'm feeling like.
Hilarious.
Okay? And I'm Ghost, and I'm about to teach y'all. I'm not going to treat y'all like Tariq, okay?
Hilarious. Already we love black pop culture here.
Yes.
Know? So with that being said, now we're going to start with a classic Detroit is Different question. You and your people and roots here. Okay. What brought your people to the D? Where y'all come from? Okay. What's the roots? Are you like first, second, third generation? How deep Detroit?
So on my dad's side, my grandfather was from Mississippi.
Mississippi where?
I'm not 100% sure. But I can find out.
Mississippi. Okay.
They from Mississippi. That's all I got right now. But I know they know because my dad just went down there. I'm gonna end up calling him. I'm about to call. Oh no, I think he out. But from there, he has some sisters that still live there. I think it's 2 of them that are still alive. They still have like land down there. I got it all written down somewhere. So I know that my dad's mom, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know her mom was from Canada. I know that's random. So my great grandma was from Canada.
Were they a part of that group that of black folks from the Underground Railroad that got up to Canada? Or you don't even know?
I don't know, but I'm finding out.
Okay.
It's funny because I'm actually on this journey of being my family historian. Because like on my mom's side, I have a whole bunch of records from that side of the family. Like my great-great-great-grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian. Like, I have birth records, deeds. It's still property down there. So they're from, like, Louisiana, New Orleans, and Houston.
Okay.
And then they came to Chicago from there. So my grandfather, apparently, that we think that his dad was half white. Haven't figured that out yet. He passed before I was born, so I never got to meet him. And, you know, they ain't been keeping track yet. So working on that, and I'm actually working on a project about that. So I'm like documenting my journey through finding my family's genealogy. And I'm going to go down there, visit, film, do all of that.
So it's going to be like Henry Louis Gates, but more modern, more fly, more of contemporary times, I'm guessing. With your, from your
and it's going to be a mix with another show, so I won't give away my sauce. But yes, totally, like, because it's called Finding Your Roots, right? Yep. So like Finding Your Roots meets, and when I drop the first one, you'll know.
Understand.
Yes.
Now, I do have this to say, and I
have a very specific group: millennial Black people, men or women, but I want them to be in the millennial age because we are the new adults. Okay, I know they be joking about like, oh, we're the new adults. And then maybe what was before us?
Generation X.
Is that your generation?
I'm a very old millennial.
Oh, okay. So still millennials, because it's so important that we know where we come from, like really know, and then I can like immerse you in your culture, and it's just gonna build so much confidence and so much connection that it has no choice but to raise people's energy, and that's what I think.
I feel that. And I was going to say, just in the roots of like all these discussions over the years, like with Detroit is different, you got people that are from like the west side when we think of the South. So a lot of them do go through Chicago. So like a lot of the great migration routes obviously follow the patterns of trains and the train traveling. So a lot of folks from Chicago and East St. Louis and Memphis, they're going to be those Mississippis. Those going to be those New Orleans and Louisianas. So to have Black folks settle here from Mississippi and Louisiana and stuff, it's just a different feel. And it's also, if you really talk to them, you know what I'm saying? Like if you ask them about certain like Southern delicacies, because it's such a Alabama, Georgia route here in Detroit, like it seems like it's not that different because it's like, oh, it's the same stuff. But no, macaroni and cheese in Georgia is a lot different than macaroni and cheese in Mississippi or Louisiana by tradition. Like, you know, the cheeses they pick, how loose it is and all that stuff. So, like, you can, like, you can go places and they be like, this is disgusting. And then it's like another person be like, yo, this hitting the same way Mexican food, I think, for a lot of people, depending upon where you at in your journey. And, you know, you got to understand.
Where are you at in your journey?
Yeah, where you at in your journey?
Because you don't be knowing nothing. That's what he trying to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like you learn.
You know better, you do better.
So with that being said, that's like some of those roots. Here in the D, where were your people at when they made their way to the D? What neighborhood?
So Dexter and Davidson.
Wow. So they basically like still in my square, like down the street.
And
Dexter,
my mom's
Davidson.
from Chicago, so she grew up on like East 88th Place, and so yeah, she from Chicago. They got married. My parents got married right out of college. So.
Okay, so let's go to Dexter Davidson Pops. You got a Dexter guy.
Yes.
That's your daddy. That's old school Dexter.
Okay, love you, Big Randy, but he a gentle giant.
I know, but I mean, it's
but he,
more
known. He a talker, so like he always say, he could talk his way out of anything.
Yeah.
And he was a hooper, so everybody loved him, you know.
Okay, so let's get into a little bit of the culture you remember. Did you all keep the family home? Did you connect with that space? What was your relationship to that neighborhood for you coming up?
So yeah, well, so we stayed at my grandma's house and my aunt's house too. When I think about it, we were with our cousins and our family and aunts and uncles all the time.
Okay.
So I do remember being at my grandma's house. They lived on Burlingame.
Wow. Okay.
I know, like,
okay,
you know,
which side? Was y'all on the Russellwood side or was y'all on the Linwood side? As they say?
I want to say the Linwood side.
Okay, because that's definitely more Dexter of the Dexter.
Say the Linwood side. But either way, so her house is tore down now, but we're in the process of buying the land so we can turn it into an urban garden.
Okay.
So yes and no of us keeping the family home. My granddad, he he kind of moved around a lot. He also was married like 4 times. So he moved around. He lived on Falls for a long time. But before he died, his last wife, Miss Yvonne, they've been married for like 25 years before he passed in 2020. Okay. So they lived out in Farmington pretty much kind of that whole time. So
this,
he was like a military man. And
so now I guess I have the neighborhood Detroit questions for you. Being that you're in that, in this neighborhood, as I know what the Dexter neighborhood meant to me when we really connected over there to Russell Woods, like at 13 and everything. So I remember like the Broad Street Parade. I remember a lot of stuff about Dexter as a kid, actually, but what was that neighborhood like for you coming up? What were you connecting with? What was the culture?
So for me, the Boys and Girls Club. So when my dad started his foundation, which we still have, we've made some transitions, right, throughout 30 years of basketball camp and many other things. But the reason he started it was like 94, is because the Boys and Girls Club was about to close. Lloyd H.G. was about to close because they didn't have any membership. So, okay, we did the camp. Camp was like $75 for a week from like 9 to 4. Okay, over to something like...
You can already
what?
You can already hear the even noise in that perspective. I already hear Kara's like, "What you think I am?"
Like what? And we gave the kids free lunch, but every kid got a membership, so it kept the Boys and Girls Club open. So
the one right there in the neighborhood, right?
The one that Big Sean just
right
invested
by
into?
It's right by the old,
It's
and they're no longer open. But Don Bosco Hall was really what
right across the street
connected me there, and then as a former West Side Cub.
Okay, my daughter cheered for the Cubs. So,
all right. So,
okay.
So yes,
that
Boys and Girls Club.
That would be my memory. Like I said, we stayed at my grandma's house, so remembering that. Like again, me and my cousins are still close. We are all very much grown, kids, jobs, and like we try to get together once a month. We call it Cousins in Conversation, and we were just talking about like being at our grandma's house. She used to feed us oatmeal with like pet milk, and I don't know why that was so good. Sugar and cinnamon toast, like that. That's what we was on, hot dogs, and we be watching stories. We be watching stories.
Stories.
I was in that culture, that era. Yeah.
All right. So you spent a lot of time there with your grandmother, being in that neighborhood, and kind of like just more so with family, not necessarily with the people of the neighborhood as much, but more so
outside
with
of, like I say, outside of Boys and Girls Club. But I mean, I knew the West Side Cubs, but none of us, my brother didn't play football, so my dad didn't play.
Okay.
So yeah.
So in this, you talked about basketball being one of those things. So your dad basketball, you basketball, your sister basketball. Basketball runs in the family.
Yeah.
What's the relationship with basketball as, like Curtis Blow says, my favorite sport? But continue.
I love basketball. What's crazy is volleyball was like really my sport. That was my sport that I was good at, but I didn't get introduced to volleyball until high school. So it was just like kind of just too late, right? I was good in high school, whatever, but because I wouldn't have played basketball if I knew about volleyball. But I love basketball because I built so many relationships with basketball. It's something that I share with my dad and my sister, right? Like my mom into sports because all of us play sports, but she could be like, I could care less, right? So that's just something we can always connect on, even like when we can't find moments to be connected. Like, okay, we can sit and watch a game, and that'll be cool. And I just love athletes. I think people who aren't really into sports, especially when you talk about professional sports, because they're like, oh, they make so much money. They don't really understand how important sports is. And it's not even about the NFL or NBA or anything like that. But it builds character and trust and discipline and teamwork, all these things that sometimes Black kids just need, and they can only get that through sports, right? We only need to like push for sports, not as a profession, but like maybe just to get through college, right?
So I have this question then, as a person that connects in sports, but woman in sports, girl in sports, it's a different angle, and what comes to life. Like during my lifetime and your lifetime, the WNBA starts. What was that journey for you playing basketball? Like, what was your mindset? Was it more so like, I want to have fun? Were you competitive? Like, no, I really want to win. What was your approach?
If y'all don't know me, y'all know my dad and my sister. We are competitive. No, we want to win. What? And then when the WNBA started, is this concept of representation. Again, seeing women getting paid professionally, even though now we know they weren't getting paid nothing for real, but for the times, it was acceptable. But it was a fun journey. I think that girls don't watch women's basketball enough. It's kind of weird. Like,
I really have some questions about that, but I really want to lean more so into the Detroit journey of it because so many other people even talk about.
So you know they just had the Shaq's 20th
and that's what I was just about to ask you.
I got a picture.
Well, not even the 20th anniversary. I'm talking about the Shaq then.
Listen, one of my best friends was a ball girl for the Shaq. We was locked in.
So seeing that come to life, because it's like you're watching a professional league, you're watching this professional team, and then furthermore, you're watching a professional team that wins a championship too.
Yeah.
So they changed, I don't know if people noticed, but like the Palace of Auburn Hills had a sign like it was like 2 championship drive, but they changed it to 3 championship drive when the Shock won that title. And the Shock were a very competitive team as far as the way it was playing. The support from the crowd wasn't there, but you being a girl playing basketball and seeing this team come to life, seeing the association build, also knowing the balance of like what it's like at a Piston game versus a Shot game. What was that kind of like? Can you take us back there a little bit?
It was still inspiring, right? So just watching women play at professional level, like, oh, they used to be balling. Like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi and Cheryl Swoops and Deanna Nolan. Oh, Deanna Nolan was so fire. Like, dang, look at her. This little point guard moving like the boys, right? Because we knew the boys just had, like, different level of skill. So they all showed us, like, the Shock showed us a different level of skill, whether you was a big girl or you was a point guard or shooting guard. Like, oh, we can do sweet stuff, right? We can do this. We can do all of that. So, and it was just fun, again, to see, representation. Women that look like you. And it made us want to compete harder and really win championships. You know, sometimes people just be playing like, oh, I'm good, so I'm about to do this. Like, no, we want to win. Sometimes they try to push girls not to be competitive, right? Because
explain that. Break that down a little bit.
Because they want women to be all dainty, and that's just kind of the vibe they want us to have. And when we get hype or we're very passionate, it's seen as, oh, you're in your feelings, right? Like, you can have a man coach yelling and screaming and doing all that, but then you get a Kim Oakley and they like, she's out of her mind. Like, what? How? Or Pat Summitt, same thing. Like, they, you know, it's just so extreme when it comes to having that passion. So it's just like, just go have fun, girls. And again, girls weren't really looked at as being like, oh, you can do something sweet. So like, when women started, you know, you seen your first dunk, like, wow, I didn't think you could do that. Like, why didn't you think I could dunk? I'm 6'8". What you mean? Why wouldn't I be able to dunk? I'm right here.
So in this same scope, now let's get into you and your ball. And you say competitive, your dad hoops, your sister hoops. When do you get into organized ball?
Probably when I was in like 5th grade.
Wow, so you were hooping
5th or 6th grade.
Okay.
But again, basketball camp started when I was 5. So I was still going to basketball camp.
But like organized ball versus
probably like 5th grade.
Okay. So
yeah, maybe a little earlier, but probably 5th grade I can remember for real.
So now I even have the, like, with your dad and your sister and you already having some skill sets. How did you take towards organized ball and that organizing in a team? Because, you know, I'm pretty sure you could just go out there and be like, look, I did all these drills. I can lead things and all of that stuff. Like, shout out as the Cubs journey. Braylon Edwards, he was that guy.
Yes, I love
and it'd be like people was looking at B Easy like, yo, my G. Ain't nobody going to the NFL. We going to get over here and we going to stop running and we going to start walking. But he would keep that pace because he was already like in a different stratosphere. Even like, I'm serious. C-Team Westside Clubs, Braylon Edwards was like, yeah, he probably going to be pro. Like, seriously. He let us in all our drills.
Does anybody have any
stuff.
footage of that? That would be so dope. Who got some footage of that? We got to find that.
So what was your take towards getting an organized ball, taking to a coach? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you approach that?
I loved basketball. I loved playing. It kind of came natural, like you said, from my dad, my sister. It was something that even before I was playing, I was just into. Right? So we really understood the game, even still now. Like, I love watching basketball. I can talk sports, right? At least that sport. I'm just not getting into football, which is a very interesting thing. But, yeah, I didn't have no problems having a coach. And actually, I had a lot of female coaches. I think my first coaches were 2 black women. Like, once I got in middle school. Yep, Carlita and Latoya. And I actually still talk to them to this day. They're still mentors, and they just, now that I know, they really poured into us, and, like, that was just super dope. So that was a good experience from the start, and so I just kept going.
What high school?
I went to Renaissance.
Okay, Renaissance. So you were on their
Lisa
hoop squad.
Blackburn was my coach. Rest in peace. I always say she was one of my favorite coaches. She's one of the best coaches I had. Yeah, we loved her, and she could ball, but yeah, she was just a great coach. Not everybody a great coach. Like, yeah, she was the best. And then I played for Coach Jones for 1 year, but I stopped playing basketball in my junior year.
Why?
Because I didn't want to play no more. And I was into band. I'm still a band girl. Everybody know that's my thing. Or maybe a lot of y'all probably don't know that. But I am very much a band girl. I was playing volleyball. I ran track. And I was in student senate. I'm like, I got enough going on to, you got to be committed to the sport either way. You playing summer ball, playing AAU, we doing all this. I'm like, no. So, yeah, I stopped after my junior year. And then, I'm still salty about this, and my 2 best friends, I play this clip for them. Then these heifers turned around my senior year and win a state championship.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So I know you was feeling like, damn, I should have been there.
What? I should just played 1 more year. But it is what it is.
Okay, so Renaissance, a whole nother realm and culture and everything. What was that experience like? What made the decision for Renaissance for you?
My mother made the decision for Renaissance for me.
Okay.
I wanted to go to Cass. My twin brother wanted to go to King. Our sister had already went to Renaissance, but she was in college by then. Yeah, because she's 5 years older than us. Me and my brother came up with this plan. We're like, yeah, he's going to catch the bus to King. I'm going to catch a ride because one of my good friends was going to Cass. And my mom was like, yeah, y'all going to Renaissance. So that was the reason. But the experience was, I had a great experience. Like, especially in sports world, we was in that time with Coach White and Malik and Joe and Jordan and Adam. Like, yeah, when they was winning. It's so funny. My dad found a scrapbook I had from my senior year. Well, just high school in general. You know how you do. And I still have the game ticket from the city championship in 2004 at Cobo. I know. I was so excited to find that. I got actually quite a lot of like game tickets and homecoming. So
Yeah.
Renaissance was very lit during the time I was there.
So
we
you
was
were
winning sports.
you were also at the original building of Renaissance.
So we were at the original building for 3 years, and then our senior year we go to the new building and we got to wear a uniform.
What was just the camaraderie of that culture? And we know from Detroit is different family and other things, that connection to the Harrison family and others, even the Crawford family. And yeah, it was something going on there. Boo and all the other guys, you know what I'm saying? Like it was something then before the new building, which I think it's its own culture now there in the new space. But you all kind of broke ground as the first senior class there. What did that feel like?
We were bad as hell.
Hilarious.
No, I'm serious. Like it's like people know Renaissance history. Like they know what time we were just so bad that senior year because we were just rebelling. We went from all of this and we wanted to be in our building and graduate, right? Like that's what Renaissance was. This was our school. And then we had to wear a uniform. Again, we go from 3 years in free dress. We had to wear a uniform, a completely different building. It was just a whole different vibe. So we rebelled every chance we got. But shout out to Miss Davis for never letting up. Like, she'd be like, no, y'all breaking the rules. Go to the office, bye. That was my English teacher, my senior year English teacher. But we still, I definitely agree. Like, it was something there. See, I went to Bates, too, kindergarten through 8th grade. So a lot of
the Bates
those
kids
people
end up at Renaissance.
I literally just posted a picture from my 8th grade class, over half of us went to Renaissance.
Yeah.
So, and again, the Maliks and Adams and all of them went to Bates too. So all of that, like you say, all of that culture literally was built before. So even the players that didn't go to Bates, which was still a big amount, they were all still playing over the summer. They were playing AAU. Like most of them had already built a relationship, and that showed on the court.
So,
And Mark is a good ass coach. So yeah.
so with it, now I guess I would say, what do you think made your mom want to make the Renaissance decision for all kids to be there? Because obviously she saw something at Renaissance, even from which her sister got to say, I think this is the best place.
Because that's all she knew. That's what she told me. That's all she knew. She was coming from Chicago. So she did her research, and her research kept saying Renaissance is a blue ribbon school. It's the best school to go to. And my sister went there, so we went there.
So after Renaissance, where are you at on your journey?
I go to Wayne State and do a whole bunch of bull crap. Fail a whole bunch of classes. Work. I worked a lot. I've been working since I was 15. I always had a full-time job and a part-time job. Then I moved out of state for a little bit.
So let's stop at the full-time, part-time.
Yeah.
Why do you think you had this pressure of stacking the plate and stacking the schedule at such a young age? As this is one of the few Kari wisdoms I like to share with younger folks. Adultification. Don't try to grow up too fast because you can't rewind the time. So when you 19 years old acting like, if I don't open up the store, then it's like, yo, you'll get to that point where that's real. But what do you think was keeping you on this pace where it's like you needed to be active with something?
Because that's all I knew. Like I said, I played 3 sports in high school and was in band and was on student senate. So if you know anything about those things, they all require a lot of time and effort. And I was good at all of it. So, and just coming from working parents who teach you that's what you should be doing. So I wanted to work. I wanted to make some money. So I just so happened to be able to advance. Like I was working in corporate jobs, team leader, all type of stuff. I mean, I did a lot of retail stuff, of course, but I still was very young doing management positions. So every time I was like, oh, and then when I messed up in school, I just fell back on work.
So this is interesting because I guess if you were to talk to yourself like then, like have the reflective conversation through a time machine or something, what would you say would be some of the focus? Which, I mean, I guess everything happens for a reason to get us to our destination, but what would you share if asked?
Go to community college. Oh my God. Go to community college, y'all. And now it's so much stuff you can go for free. Like, go to community college. Take the basics. Make it easy. Transition yourself slowly. And then decide what you want to do. Because then you might feel like, but I like school. I love school, right? Everybody don't like school. Everybody don't. That's not their thing. So, but I'm a schoolgirl. I'm a learner. I want to take a certification. I want to do that, because I just like to know, right? I like to learn. That's something that I enjoy. But I'm not even pushing it on people. But if you are thinking about going to higher education, go to community college and don't work. I mean, I know it's a little different now, but if there's a way for you to figure it out or work very part-time,
why would you say that? Because everything in almost everybody I know, even some of my team members, they 25, like, man, I got to be a millionaire by the time I'm 28. And I be thinking to myself, like,
child,
where are you getting this pressure?
Child, I am so past that.
But why would you say, what's the value in not having that type of?
Because now I understand the value in slowing down. Now I understand the value in silence. Now I understand the value in really thinking about something and saying, okay, let's work smarter and not harder. We've been told we can do all this multitasking and doing whatever, but the reality is you got to focus on one thing at one time. You think about anybody that's great. I don't care what they do. If they do sports, if they do science, if they do makeup, if they do bad stuff, They practice that thing over and over and over again. Then they move on to something. Yeah, we see the Beyoncés and Jay-Z's now, like, oh, they have all these businesses and all that. But before they did that, they was singing and they was rapping. That's it, okay? We got to just focus on something. Sometimes, especially when you know it's like a short amount of time, right? Okay, it's going to take me 6 months to get this certification, or, now because school is different, right? Things are like how you can gain education is different. It's only going to take me a year and a half or whatever. Figure out a plan, put a strategy in place, and do that. We always just in a rush. And then you do all these rushed things, and then you're forced to have to go back and slow yourself down. So you end up wasting a whole bunch of time.
So you talked about slowing down, and you just shared some good game about it. What are those times you think that in life we need to slow down?
Really, when we find ourselves like not knowing what to do. The reality is when you're patient, when you're slowing down, when you're listening to yourself, when you can trust yourself, everything gonna flow. Life's gonna happen, right? Things happen. But sometimes we internalize the things that happen to us, especially bad stuff. Like, oh, why me? Why did this person leave? Why did I get into an accident? Why did I do whatever? And if you have any kind of faith, it's just like, sometimes why not me, right? Because you're the only one who can advocate in this position. You're the only one who can lead from this type of situation. And so slowing down just allows you to really trust yourself. See, we live in this internet age and everybody want to listen to everybody else. I don't understand that. And I know, I want people to listen to me and just saying, like, you got to be the one to move yourself forward.
And that was going to be the next question that I had, as you talked about moving out, relocating. And you said that it's key to listen to yourself. And I often have conversations with myself, not like whereas they say, you crazy if you answer. It's like, some stuff I'm answering, but I'm usually not speaking it aloud. Definitely deeply getting involved with more meditation now as it's making more sense to me. But often I have a process of building up the confidence to do the things that I want to do, because I'm still offering myself, even like I have to believe in it myself, and then I believe it manifests. I know this sounds, I don't know how y'all interpreting this, but
y'all better be
that listening to self is very key. How did you center yourself on listening to self? And I'm making the assumption, but I'm sure it was some times when you relocate, because relocating can be a journey where you're going to be listening to yourself. How did you center that ability? How do you tap into that? And what was that like relocating at those times when you do need to listen to yourself? Because you can get busy with what you're familiar with. I can drive over my homie's crib. My friends over here. You know what I'm saying? I used to kick it with an old girl. I can drive by my parents' house. I got a cousin's house. You know what I'm saying? You can busy yourself a little bit, but when you're in a new space, it's like, damn, it's just you.
So really, I went to yoga teacher training. That's what happened. That was in 2020. So many people always ask me what made me go, and again, if you have some faith, like, woke me up out of my sleep. God was like, oh, you need to go to yoga teacher training. So I said, okay, I need to find somebody black, because that was part of the direction too, at least for that moment, right? So I got trained at a Jamel Randall over at the Tribe Yoga Studio, and then Lisa Hillary, and they were just phenomenal. So I was going through a whole bunch of craziness at the time, and it just so happened the pandemic started. We was in person for like the first month, and then the pandemic happened, so we were like hybrid, and it was a mess. But that really, I encourage people now to, like, even if you don't want to even practice yoga or you're not even into it, like, go to yoga teacher training. You're gonna be forced to go in real good. So that's just been my journey from then, like. And every day, more and more as I practice, and I got rebaptized in January. That's also a part of it, right? I go to church, I got rebaptized. So having that faith, and then also the ability and knowledge to know that I can explore other things, that makes sense, right? And the more you find peace, the less you let people play with you, period.
So you jumped into tapping more into centering and listening to self as a later time. But I do want to talk about the relocation there. What was that like? Where did you go?
When I moved to Tennessee?
Tennessee was where you was at. Whereabouts?
Oh, yeah, I moved to Tennessee. I lived in Bellevue, so it was
Okay.
like 20 minutes from Nashville. It was beautiful.
Okay.
I lived in like this townhouse. It was while I was there, it was for a relationship. Young folks don't do that either, but here we go. That's a whole other conversation we're not going to get into.
Let me say this. I would go as far as to say probably like if we had like a Family Feud survey, I would say probably 95% of the reason most people relocate is because of a relationship. But
Well, not in your 20s, okay? I don't know. I can't say that. Whatever. Do whatever y'all going to do. But I wouldn't suggest it.
Relocating for love. It's happening.
I wouldn't suggest it. Okay. But anyway. So, yeah, I lived in Tennessee. I loved living in Tennessee, actually. I think it was beautiful. Like, I would go back and live there. I mean, if it made sense, right? Like, I'm just not going to go because I want to go. But I loved it. I loved being out there. Yeah.
Okay. So so with that, and it's other layers in it too. Young relationship. That's a serious. I can't tell you this. Cohabitating, you are in a serious relationship, whether you are explicitly or implicitly cohabitating.
Correct.
You are in a serious relationship.
Move in.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yes. So yes, when someone starts receiving mail at said residence,
when you have to get a new ID because you're in a new city and state, it's real.
So
Do not pass go, my friends.
So what is this like? Just because kind of just meeting your father a couple of times and big sister, your mom. How is this shared with them? Like, yo, I'm about to get on like this. What is that story connecting to?
I have to. Why are you asking these questions? Oh my God!
It's a Detroit.
But I have to live in my truth because we have to be the change we want to see and have to be transparent. I did not tell them.
Wow.
They found out on Facebook because I was very on trash and out of control when I was in my 20s, for real. I ain't gonna say trash, out of control. I just was unaware. Okay, I was just unaware and. You know what I'm saying? Mental health stuff, depression, other things. And I was just doing reckless stuff unnecessarily.
So with that, what's that? Just because right now, as a parent and then let me say this. People in your 20s, your relationship with your parents will be interesting to say the least.
One for the books. Yeah.
But as you grow older, you'll be surprised to see that those people you once saw as superheroes start gaining all of those traits back again, but you just start understanding more of their humanity in the journey.
Parents are people. That's what I tell my young folks all the time. Parents are people, y'all. Just relax.
So with that being said, I imagine that was a very heavy conversation with your mom and dad, especially finding out from there.
Child.
And
mama cussed me out, which she should have. I didn't feel like that then. She should have. Good job for you, girl. That's exactly what you should have did. But if you know my dad, like I said, he's a gentle giant. He's not. He don't do confrontation. He don't do chaos. You know what I'm saying? So she just kicked it with me. Like, he was wrong. You there now? That's what you gonna do. That's what you gonna do.
And that's real. So having that type of exchange, and that's interesting that was your father's take on it. Kind of like recognizing it for what it is, but also knowing where you are. So it's like, I'm gonna say what this is, but this is where we are. And where we are is I love you.
This is what you're gonna do. Make sure you check in, make sure you call, you know what I'm saying? Come home every now and again, Just like
so even moving forward and past that, I'm sure that built a different type of bond with your parents.
Yeah. I mean, child, and put them through so much, right? Kids, don't stop putting your parents through stuff unnecessarily, okay? Because I know a lot of y'all do, because I be dealing with y'all. Running away, where you going? Where you going, Junebug? Stop.
But
Stop
the reality, let me say this on the other side of kids. Your parents know because a lot of you
is in them.
Yes, it's
okay.
they know. It's like that was my behavior. I was doing that. You know what I'm saying? Some of it you know, as they say, the things that get under your skin most are what you would do.
I mean, I guess honestly, I would say a lot of the closest probably still came, you know, even still around 2020, maybe a little bit before. Because again, I start to see things in a different way, and I kind of force my family, like, okay, now we're gonna talk about stuff. Okay, now we're gonna
So,
have those like real conversations and actually do that. I just started to liaison some stuff for us to be able to manage and go through.
so that's interesting. So 2020 and the pandemic like was like a rebirth in a lot of ways for how you're approaching a lot of your personal.
Yep.
Now, what impact did strengthening your family and your community and your personal relationships have on your professional relationships?
Honestly, it taught me to be more nurturing in my relationships, my professional relationships. So being in TV, like being a woman, I'm usually 1-on-1, especially being black too, right? Unless you get lucky and get on, like I have been on all black sets, or sets where it was more women than usual, right? But that'd be like small stuff you and your people put together, or you get lucky on a project because somebody you already know, you know, what your vibe is or whatever. But so you like learn to be super tough and firm, and if you know anything about production culture, it's really straightforward, and some people will say mean, like it's very fast paced. But then I started to lean in the fact like, okay, these are people too, and we work in 10 hours minimum. Sometimes you could be working 16, 18 for real. I know, against the law, but that's another story too. But let's keep it real, like it be like that. So it just made me be more compassionate toward the people that I worked with. It made me want to learn more about them. Like any set that I run, I get to know my people, period. And if I never worked with you, you know, some people I work with all the time, if I never get to work with you, I try to have a conversation with them the day before or a couple of days before, ask some personal questions, because it's like, if I don't know you, I can't work with you. And we have a short amount of time to get to know each other. But we have to have some level of trust in order for us to actually work together.
So this is interesting that you bring that up, and now we're about to really dive deep into more so the production side, because this is speaking about what I consider community, and culture plays a role in what we define as community. I believe that our people, we're very sociable. That's who we are. Like, you know, like I'm after this, I'm gonna send some text reductions to people, but I have to send it with another person in it because it's like, who this person coming from? So it's interesting that you speak to like learning who this person is to build a ground where trust could exist. What outcomes have you seen differently in approaching things like that?
One, the mood on set is different. People actually want to come to work. They feel heard. They feel seen. Also, most people, you know, now, Production Bae, maybe not my Rachel Simone media days. I ain't do everything right all the time, but none of us did, so don't be acting, y'all. They gonna always have my back. Like, my team, I can call them like, look, this what we about to do. And they like, okay. Or people that I have hired in the past, you know what I'm saying? And I always put people in positions to win. Anybody that work with me, I'm always passing their name along. Make sure that I elevate them, not just doing something for me. Like, you ain't no good for me if you ain't growing or if you don't want to grow. That don't make no sense. Like, yes, I want you to go to Hollywood or do whatever it is that you want to do. And so people that know me, like my reputation now, like it's known for that. They know, like, oh yeah, I'm about to get you a job.
That's
for sure. Like, I'm gonna get you a job.
So let's talk about your job in production. When do you drive your way into this production world? What connects you to TV? Where are you pacing? So I know we may be rewinding back for real, but I want to get back to that first. How are you getting in production?
So my dad was a director at Channel 4. He was a director for like 38 years. He literally got the job like a week before my sister was born. My sister 5 years older than us, so it was 1982 she was born. Well, 6 years older than us, but yeah, 1982. But what's crazy is I never thought I was going to be in TV Like, I love TV, so I grew up at Channel 4. Like, if you I don't even know, like, the studio back then, that's when they used to pull the lottery. They used to have a game show back then, like, that they used to do in the studio at Channel 4. So we stayed up there, but I still never even thought about being in television. I was going to be an athletic trainer. When I got to college, that was my original major, athletic training, because I wanted to do something in sports still, because I love sports. And after I moved back from Tennessee, I was like, because, you know, Tennessee is Music City, and I worked at Coyote Ugly when I lived in Tennessee. So it was like 2 or 3 girls that could really sing there. Like, it was just a whole thing with the music. So I literally came home and was like, oh, we got a lot of talent. I'm about to start a show. I called a friend at the time, and she became a business partner during that time. I was like, can you put me a website together? She was like, yeah. I'm like, cool, we about to do a show. We about to do the Rachel Simone show. This was like in 2010. And that was birth. Like, I had another friend, shout out to Stacey, DJ Stacey J. She had a spot a recording studio over at on Franklin. What's that building over there?
Franklin. You mean the right now I forget what they call that building. Off East Franklin, like down the street where it's a couple different
Like near
businesses.
Shane Park.
Yeah.
So I was like, can I use your studio? She would be kicking people off. She just let me come in. We was recording on the iPad. Oh my God, it looks so terrible when I think about it now. But at the time, wasn't nobody doing that. Wasn't nobody, not in the city. They didn't have a like visual blog outside of like maybe 97.9. They was doing a little internet stuff. And like Joseph McFashion, but he had his specific, I think it was like Don Diva, you know what I mean? And For Show magazine. So it was very like entertainment and like Vixen heavy, right? And like rappers and stuff. But like having like a show of that nature, like no, nobody was doing that. So Tommy Walker was my first interview. That's when he first opened his store at Eastern Market, because we went to Wayne State together. And I was like, oh, I got to call in some favors. And then like Say It Ain't Tone was like my second interview. But I grew up with him. Him and my baby daddy was best friends growing up, right?
Hilarious.
So again, I'm just calling people that I know. I'm just calling my friends like, hey, can y'all do this for me? And that started that. So I did that for a while. And then I switched my major. I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to school. I'm finally going to graduate, but I'm going to do it in journalism. So I switched my major to broadcast journalism, and then I started PAing by default.
What school?
At Wayne State. I graduated from
Wayne
State.
Went back to Wayne State?
Yep, I went back to Wayne State. Finished what I started.
Okay.
Period. Like, that's really the main reason I got my degree, like, finish what I started. So I just got a whole bunch of PA gigs through the school. Like, I worked the Grand Prix. The first PA gigs I worked was Tavis Smiley show. Exactly. Like, my God, I'm an auntie for real. He had did a show at Wayne State, and what's crazy is, now that I think about it, his producer was this black woman. She was tall, she was so pretty, and she was just so bossy. Like, I just remembered, I can't remember her name. Her name might have been Robin, but I don't know. And I was just like, ooh, she's just telling everybody what to do. Like, but I didn't even really know what a producer was at that time. I just knew that she was the producer, but I didn't really know what all of that meant. I just knew that we were supposed to listen to her, basically, as a production assistant. Do what she asked you to do. And we was doing all kind of stuff, getting coffee, setting up tables, you know, whatever. And then I did the Grand Prix, and then I did some other stuff, but I still really wanted to host.
So let's stop at some of these gigs and what you're seeing, because you're also stepping into a culture where 2 things are key. One, it ain't a lot of black people. It definitely ain't a lot of women too.
Yeah.
And combining black women on this in this sphere, how soon do you recognize that? How do you still gain that confidence of being like, okay, no, I got a space and foot in this door too?
I recognized it right away, but it didn't affect me. So I guess it didn't affect me until later, and I guess I can tell you that why. I never really needed to see somebody doing something to think that I could do it. Even from a young age. So, you know, now everybody's like, oh, I need to be represented in this space. Like, I don't. I'm going to show up. If I find myself into something, if my purpose is guided into that, like, oh, it's just me, okay. I didn't view it like that until I started to really elevate, and other people would be like, oh, there ain't a whole bunch of black people in there. And I'm like, oh, I guess it ain't a whole bunch of black women, right? Because was just used to maneuvering. Like, I can connect with anybody, right? I'm able to go on any set with any person and just stand my ground. So that's just a gift that I had. So I didn't even have time to think about who wasn't there until I had to think about it. And then, that like put a light bulb in my head.
All right. So from this, you're like, okay, no, I still want to be on talent. I want to be on air talent.
Mm-hmm.
So you work in this path, got the degree on air talent. What's your vision of what on air talent would be?
Well, so I hosted Metro Arts. So if you know anything about Wayne State, it's a show called Metro Arts that's student ran from all of the production, from host all the way, except for the director. Director was our professor, because that's what she did, right? But she still always trained somebody, right? She always had an assistant director and like TD, floor director, all of that. So I hosted Metro Arts, and my last semester I was finishing, I ended up being a floor director. So I hosted one season, and then I floor directed another season.
Okay.
And when I did that, I was like, oh yeah, I want to tell people what to do at some point. Like,
what's the key difference from being talent and in production?
So I
you,
I still love interviewing. I love kind of, being in front. Like, I think that's cool, but working Metro Arts really made me realize that the people behind the scenes are really the most important. I know that's going to be difficult for people to say because we're just used to seeing, right? Oh, this actor and we love this person. And don't get me wrong, clearly that plays a role into completing the story, I feel like. But the story was already good before them. That's just how I feel, right? If you got somebody that just wrote this great ass movie, like the movie was already great. The actor just put the icing on the top. They just put the sauce. But that build up from going like idea to watching something be fully and like in concept and done, like that's a part I enjoy. I enjoy the process.
And it's unique because I guess I sit in this hybrid position too, but I do think that, yes, great production will always outshine great talent.
Period.
Great talent outshining, let's put it like this. If you have a great production and talent is okay, the production itself will look great. If you have amazing talent but not good production, chances are the whole thing will be like, that's
Flat out.
And we start taking the things in a certain way. Like my whole life, I mean, this is aging me. I was a kid born in 82. Like, as a kid, I remember definitely the Arsenio Hall show, Jay Leno and David Letterman.
Yep.
So like, I thought that these people would be pillars. And then I had to step back as I got older when like Jay Leno retired, then retired again or whatever. And I was like, damn, I guess that was like Johnny Carson or something was for a generation ago. Like, I just thought it would always exist. You know what I'm saying? I thought Oprah would always exist. Now, culture has shifted because of internet and content and all of that stuff. But technically the beats and the production of, if you watch Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel, it's the same level. Like, the production standard is still the same. And if in a lot of ways, some of it's definitely gotten better.
Yep.
So the production and the packaging, and I'm not saying anybody couldn't, but I guarantee, like, you'd be surprised how that works. Yeah.
I do understand why crews continue to work on one another. So that's not necessarily a part of the culture I want to change, because when you find a crew, I'm talking about from producer all the way down to PA, who understand one another, who understand how each other's flow, like, that production is going to go good. Now, don't get me wrong. It's always going to be times when new people are going to be added as stuff grows. But if you can get like a core group of people that are good at documentary or action films or whatever, like, I get that. So that's why I want to like grow small crews, right? Because again, at the end of the day, there's no movie or TV or anything without a camera operator. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no movie or TV or film or podcast without a sound engineer. or somebody who's working grip who gonna plug up all these damn lights and make sure this thing don't blow up, okay?
So
Like, no, we got to put some respect on crew name. And that's my thing. Like, I'm advocating for crew. Like, no, these people. And then and don't even get into graphics and VFX and CGI and all of that stuff. Like, the talent level and the patience and editors and stuff, like, no.
and it's a passion in all the beats. I guess I would, they always say, if you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none, which I would say, I guess if you look at it like that, but I'm still at the root of telling that story. And some of this stuff, it triggers my imagination. Like, as I'm getting more into different layers of animation myself and things, like, I like it. People will know. I mean, people I know.
I don't have enough patience for editing and animation and all that. No.
Oh yeah.
I'll use my brain in another way. So that's what I'm saying. Like, pay them people because no.
So, but to me, I think I still always, and I mean, this is usually like, people be like, oh my God, you could just sit in front of this computer for this long. And it's like, yep. And then sometimes I'll like be falling asleep and then I'm gonna be like, oh man. Then I wake up, I got like a notepad. I take the notes like, oh yeah, I can do this transition and then come back. And I like it. Which gives me to your side of it, of this too. You do a lot of like, you do a lot of like, production work, bringing things together. So if people don't know, like, it's all these like softwares and stuff that you could get, and then it's like what works and scheduling and everything. If you've never thought about like a film, like you're just used to watching TV. Technically, like when you watch a TV show, nowadays, it's multiple locations. It's staying fluid. You need permits to get access to stuff. You need to possibly crew. The one thing that crew is amazing, but crew, it's never enough shots. So crew is trying to probably take a million shots, and then you got to organize and pan out a day. It's like you're the person that does all of that, which can be like multiple of like. So let me just put people in this space just so that they recognize what someone with your caliber of talent knows what to do. So you right now, imaginary person watching, you right now were just blessed or burdened, I don't know how you look at it, with the opportunity of, it's going to be a new movie with Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, and I don't know, Kevin Hart. That's coming in Detroit, and for whatever, and Production Bae is like, you know what? You won the opportunity. You're going to handle this day's shoot. They're going to 3 locations. They're going to go to the Fisher Building. They're going to go to the Renaissance Center, and they're also going to go to, I don't know, they're going to go to, I don't know, they're going to go to Good Times on the Ave, right? So they're going to go to all 3 of those locations. Now, what you're doing all day is probably with multiple phones, because when you're at location 1, let's say that's the Fisher Building, first you got to set up where all the equipment is supposed to park, where they're going to unload it, the times that they're supposed to park and unload it. You got trailers. This is Denzel Washington. This ain't Denzel Smith. So he has a trailer that needs to be...
nowadays, Denzel Smith got a trailer. Okay, so, like, for real.
You got to figure out where that trailer is going to be parking, where everything is. They probably got assistants, so you may be talking to their assistants. Hence, you got to get makeup teams there. And you got to get the people that work, like you say, with the lighting and the sound. And you got to coordinate this to get from this location and this time to the next location. So you probably got a whole nother crew at both other places working. And then also, while this is happening, you're going to give notes and you're going to talk directly to the director. You got an executive producer on set. That's that person that pays for everything. So you got to also curtail what their expectations are, right? Because it's like at the end of the day, they pay for everything. Even though I recognize that, Halle Berry didn't like that the food's not on time, because you got to focus on that. Craft services got to be there on time. You got to check and make sure that if people are like a part of unions, you done check their union cards and stuff like that. This is
preacher.
the stuff that they're doing. So like you're wondering what this person does. So it's keeping up with times, it's keeping up with people, it's high-end scheduling. It can be very it's a pressure-based situation if you don't know how to manage this, and so much of it comes beforehand. And if it comes beforehand and it works,
it's pressure no matter what. Like,
works. Yeah.
Like, okay, when I did the Dave Chappelle thing,
So explain what the Dave Chappelle thing is
Okay.
and what happened and break the whole story down.
Okay, so I was the local production coordinator when Dave Chappelle came here in 2021 when he did The Closer. Okay. Shout out to Kali because he took a chance on me and he became a mentor. Like I got connected with Kali through a friend of mine who's from here, but he lives in LA. He was like, yo, he looking for a black PA. I'm about to connect you. So I had worked for Kali like 3 times before. All I did was drop PPE off to like art directors. This is for other projects. I never worked on set. Well, one gig I worked on set, but I barely worked on set. Like, I just was picking stuff up, and I really just watched. I really didn't do anything. It was for our own show, a Christmas special that the Clark sisters did. And so he called me, and he was like, I'm about to give you an opportunity. He said, you got an interview with somebody that's going to be working up under me, but I pretty much told him to give you the job. He was like, so don't mess it up, pretty much. So the other production manager, because Kali is the head of production for the company that hired me. So the production manager, Vidal, we call him V Diddy. I ain't gonna say why, but shout out to Vidal. I still love you though. He called me, had an interview, and he was like, look, do you know how to make a really good spreadsheet? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, because I need you to make a travel grid. I'm gonna need you to do whatever. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I am not the best at Excel, but I have really smart friends. So I called my friend Tierra. Love you, girl. I said, listen, I need you to make me a spreadsheet in like 30 minutes. This is like a job that I'm dependent on. Like, whatever you need from me, I can do that after. She was like, girl, bye. Because I knew this came again, knowing people's skills. I knew that this came easy to her. She said, what do you need? So I told her all the stuff that I need. Literally put it together in like 20 minutes, sent it to me. I sent it back to Vidal, and he called me like, all right, you got the gig. But my mentor didn't tell me who it was for. He just said, I'm gonna give you this production coordinator job. Here's what you're going to have to do. And that's it. He said, after you talk to Vidal and you get it, then I'll tell you who it's for. So then he tells me it's for Dave Chappelle. And I'm like, okay. But now I know I have a learning curve, right? So I know I don't really know the Excel. I never coordinated this is my first time ever coordinating a gig. I only been PAing since here. But I called everybody on my team, like people I've been working with, and they was like, so at this point, I'm really giving everybody a level up. Some of them had never PA, but I had worked with them in other settings, so I knew what their skills was. You know what I'm saying? I knew that they could do what I was asking them to do. So I had to hire PAs, had to hire security, had to hire catering. And we were like in charge of picking all of the crew up. It was like 40 people coming from LA. We had to pick them up, drop them off at the hotel, get them to the venue. I had to find catering again. I had never done this before. So I'm calling like some of my contacts. You know, I knew some people in production at this point, right? Like, what am I supposed to do? Because I really have no idea. Like, I mean, I got critical thinking, right? So things you think. I had to go pick up cars from Rent-A-Center. It was just so much stuff. But when I tell you it was 4 days, when I tell you me and my team killed that job, we killed that job, okay? Like, me and the people that I work with, my PAs, like, we bust our ass. And every single one of them still working to production day. It was a young dude named Hiley that worked with me. He was like 22. He was like, I work at FedEx. I'm about to quit my job. I'm like, do what you got to do. I connected him with my mentor because he said he wanted to go to L.A. I connected him with Kali. He been in L.A. ever since. We talking about 3 years in. Every single person that I hired still works in production today.
That's big. And that's a hell of a story. I'm glad you were able to share that about being prepared and being ready, and then also knowing capacity and bandwidth of that team. So now as you talk about pouring in, so I'm guessing this is around that time as you're also tapping back into listening to self.
Because it's the end of 2021.
So
August.
that journey of tapping into connecting to a better self actually reflected into better business opportunities, which I know that sounds very abstract to some, but
because I now understood my power. I knew that I was the connector, right? And not just of things, but of people. I know my gift, my strength is being able to place people where they fit best. I can understand people's skills very quickly, and I'm like, oh, okay, you're going to mesh with this person. You might be good with this person. I'm going to put you here. So I'm able to maneuver through a lot of situations because, again, I'm getting to know my people. That's why I take a chance. So, like, the people who did that, most of them, I had to hire a couple people I didn't know. But, again, even throughout that, like, it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting there talking to them. Like, yeah, we done work 15 hours. We tired, but we up. So now we going to kick it because I need to know you because tomorrow's a different day. So maybe there's something else that you should be doing, right? So we work with Stan Lathan. Oh, my God. He was just so beautiful. He taught me a lot, too, even just how you can run your set, how you can still be kind to people and get to know people and still be firm and everybody know that you the boss. But still, like, he learned every one of our names. He was asking about our kids, like, every day, he never, like, yeah, that was very cool to me. That was very different, too, because that's not usually the culture of that. So, yeah, like, you got to really just take the time and get to know your people.
So with that, getting to know your people, and right now you're transitioning more so in training as we get closer to a close of the interview, and having that team, what do you think is the best advice you could give a person that's about to venture into this world? Because this world in production, and I scale up and scale down. Sometimes with creative differences marketing, it'll be a full rollout. Sometimes it's like smaller things, and I like to think of what the offering I give is for what's at play, and I love where we're at. But it's a lot of other buy-ins that do need to be made with this journey, and that buy-in is you're going to be sharing. So if you're in relationships, all your familial relationships, your friendships, like it's different. What would you share with that person that's about to venture into this world of production about how they need to prepare themselves mentally before journeying into this space?
One, production is not a job. It's a lifestyle. You got to be about this life. So after I did Dave Chappelle, I got with Jessica Caramore because I saw her at the show. And she was like, oh, you a black female? I want you to be the production manager for my film. That's like literally how this happened. She like, I got a film coming up. I already wrote it. I got these actors, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I'm like, cool. But I knew I had another learning curve. Call my mentor again. He was like, I'm like, look, I got the job if I say yes. But I don't know this, know that. He like, okay, I'll send you some stuff. He was like, but are you prepared to work 20-hour days? He started with 20. No lie, I was up for the first 3 days of that production. Because it was just, that production was crazy. We can talk about that another day, but it ended good, I guess. But I was up for the first 3 days. Again, this is a lifestyle. You got to want to be about this life. I'm not saying you're going to be up for 3 days every time, but it's going to be last minute stuff. It's going to be called. Like when you on a production, like you said, having a partner, being in a relationship, you got to have somebody that really rock with you. You got to have people who, like my friends and stuff, they understand. Like if I'm on something, they know what time it is. Like I'm going to be short. I ain't got a time for a whole bunch of salutations and lovey-dovey stuff. Like they know. So if I text them or call them or don't talk to them, they already know because I let them know, like, yo, I'm about to start a shoot. I'm on it for 2 weeks. I got this going on. Or if I got to do, like, a certain amount of pre-production because, like, you got to be locked in, especially if you're a producer or coordinator or manager. Like, you got to be 10 steps ahead of everybody. And all these creative people who are thinking these thoughts and they want to, that's why having a solid crew, it makes sense. Like, I already know you about to be on some extra stuff. Or I already know you like this type of furniture over there. Just like little nuances you learn about people, but you want to produce, you want to, like I said, manage or coordinate, you got to really be thinking way ahead. I'm talking about weather, any type of issues that's going on, time, travel. It's just like so many moving parts that people just don't understand. So they think y'all see the end result. So it's like, oh, I just want to work with all these cool people. I work with so many cool people. And I'll be like, oh, my God, never again. Or I don't want to see you no more. I didn't see you for 30 days. I'm tired of looking at you. Okay. See you on the next project. So Yeah. Also, this business is 100% who you know. Let me be clear. Unless you have some very unique skills. So like even like animators, because it's not enough, right? Especially where we're going. So if you have one of those like tech things or you're really good grip where it's like no people need you, like you'll consistently be, even if you like an asshole, you still probably be working because can't nobody replace you because don't nobody know. You have to be vouched for in this game, which is why I'm trying to which is why I am creating a space where we can vouch for people, even on mainstream projects. Every gig that I have gotten is because somebody said, you're going to hire her.
And let me ask this too.
And I'm good at my job, though. You know, you still got to be good. That's not what I'm saying. Like, you still, like, again, everybody know I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the job. I'm going to be real good at it. I'm a forward thinker. I think. I solve problems. Solve a problem. Solve a problem. And then you'll be good.
So in the light of a lot of things happening in the world of podcast media and stuff, but it's just another big elephant in the room with this world too. And I've been in this space. It's actually some people I'm getting you. You know, this ain't
Arya Stark
it ain't
list.
usual.
I have one.
But the realism of the money part.
Yeah.
Because the money part, like it's not, this ain't your job at that you fill it out and the checks come in 2 weeks. A lot of times with productions, the money to pay for the production is coming in as the production is started. Sometimes the strategy is let's get going and the rest will get funded. And I know this sounds crazy, but you're working with a lot of creatives. So it's not like you're working with, you know what I'm saying? Like if all the monies were in, probably all of our favorite films would have never been created.
So, like, okay.
So I want you to share on that negotiation of where money lies, because sometimes we will scale up. I know I do it. I scale up and I scale down to the point where sometimes I scale down to where I'm not charging nothing, because I look at a person and it's like, I would rather have you invest whatever's in your project and whatever video or audio or using my camera or using my microphone can help you get it lifted up. You know what I'm saying? But that's a Kari thing. I don't expect that with everybody. But in your space and place, how do you negotiate for those costs? Because sometimes you're in the room with people that have the prestige, that are those people that you want to vouch for you. And then it's like, damn, they just told me they want me to do this. They want me to be up at this time. We ain't talking about, when am I going to get paid, my G? When will I get paid?
Well, I guess if I'm just going to speak from my experience. Like, most of my gigs, especially when I first started, like, you're not getting a check till 4 weeks later. Your check's going to come in the mail. And this is Hollywood. We ain't talking about independent or Detroit stuff. That's what I try to get people to explain, too. Like, they still send checks in Hollywood. Okay?
Yeah.
Even on big productions. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to be about this life. Like, I did a lot of free stuff, and it's a little different now, right? I don't always encourage people to do free stuff now. Like, $100 minimum. You only be on set, you know what I'm saying? $150 minimum. That goes to $15 an hour. You know, some average type of stuff. But this is where...
Oh, wait. Let me say this. And this goes across the board because people get shocked when I tell them this.
But even in Hollywood, it's like that.
That's what I was going to say.
That's why I keep trying to get people to understand.
I want to get this that most people don't agree with. And they're shocked when I tell them, not agree with, but they're shocked when I tell them this. To do the Super Bowl halftime performance, you are not getting paid. Meaning that Usher had to spend his own money out of the platform that the Super Bowl goes to Usher like, yo, straight up. This is going to help your career. And that's not just Usher. That's Prince. That's Beyonce. That's the Rolling Stones. That's whomever. They're not paying. So, it's a consistent pattern that exists on a lot of levels.
So, think about actors, right? Even your favorite actors. They're all a part of SAG, okay? So, they have to take a day rate. So, day rate, let's say it's $1,200. I'm just, the maximum, okay? But they negotiate their other funds. A lot of people get points on the back end. That's why you'll see Denzel's randomly an associate producer, right? That's just me, somebody getting points on the back end. So they're going to get, when you see actors like, oh, she's getting paid $50 million. Like, yeah, she might get $5 up front. Then she gonna get some in post. She gonna get some throughout the shooting, and you get some in incentives. It's a whole bunch of stuff. So y'all just need to learn how to negotiate your contracts. When you talk about being for actors, when you talk about being crew, like sometimes the day rate is just a day rate. Like you need to research what the average day rate is at that time, and you can literally find that online. I'm good if y'all use Hollywood numbers, but also expect if you're doing local projects by local creators that it might be at a lower rate. And then also, again, this is where this concept of knowing yourself and trusting yourself, you got to know when a relationship is worth doing something for free. Like, some people can call me. Like, I work with this group of white boys. Shout out to Max, because I love Max. Now, he didn't always pay me. Let me be clear. But if Max called me to do something for free, I would. Because I already know any job that I have worked for him has been very high level, and he gonna put me on. He be like, give your number to this person. I'm about to share your number with that person. I'm about to do whatever. So if he called me like, look, I ain't got no budget, or if it's a super low budget, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I just did a Nickelodeon commercial for him, and I had to pay for like Crafty and like all the Starbucks and stuff out of my pocket first. But he gave me my money back as soon as we wrapped. But because I know Max, yeah, I'm gonna take that. Like, I'm gonna do that. I already know what time it is, right? Now I'm directly connected with this producer over at Nickelodeon. Like, y'all got to know when it's worth it. Y'all be getting finesse because people be talking good. You got to do your research. I be doing my research, too, on people, too. Like, when I get a call sheet, well, at least then. Now it's a little different because I'm just running a lot of my own projects. But when I would get a call sheet, I'm looking at everybody. Oh, yeah, I'm looking them up. I'm putting their email in a spreadsheet. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to follow up, too. Like, hey, remember when you worked with me on this? Like, yeah, you got to build those relationships because, again, that's why I get calls all the time. I be getting calls from people I worked with 5, 6, 7 years ago.
That's deep. That's deep.
Or calls from somebody who was like, yo, I talked to such and such, and they told me to call you.
Well, you giving a lot of the game. And now we at a close. You definitely going to come back. But you got a big announcement to give even before we go there. What's the announcement?
So I have finally finished my production training program. It's going to be production like 101. So when you lead a 2-day training program, you'll be able to be a production manager, coordinator, or production assistant. And you will have real credits for a project once you leave the training. And some people potentially have the chance to be directly hired. So I'm already going to attach the training to local projects. And then I'll be staffing directly from the training. So the small investment you're going to make, you can get it right back. And I'm teaching the game.
I like it.
I'll be doing master classes, whole bunch of stuff.
I like it. I like it.
So that's dropping in April.
And clearly y'all saw the game is there. So, classic Detroit is different question.
Okay.
But before then, contact information. How they get in contact?
Yes, so y'all can go to my personal website, which is producerbae.me, PRODUCERBAE.me, or productionbae.com. So Production Bae will have all of the training stuff, events I got coming up. I'm gonna start dropping just some little gems. I'm here to open up the floodgates, so I'm about to start dropping some stuff, giving y'all some resources on there, free call sheets, like tools that y'all should use as coordinators and managers and stuff. Because I'm really trying to build up the coordinator and production manager community, so we can do more quality projects. A lot of y'all missing good coordinators and managers, which is why y'all projects fail.
Yeah.
Because you guys need us.
Okay. Yeah.
productionbae.com, producerbae.me. My Instagram is @producerbae_. And yeah, YouTube, Production Bae. So.
I like it. You gave a lot of game here. You gave, I should have got my bigger water. It's like I was,
So crazy.
But,
So, yes.
All right, classic Detroit is different question. Your very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
My very first car was a like 96. Okay, so let me start here. People who know me, I do not like to drive. I didn't get my license until I was 19. Because my twin brother, my parents bought us a car to share, but he had his license and he just drove me everywhere. And then my friends drove me everywhere.
Okay.
And I cannot wait to get a big bag so I don't have to drive anymore because I'm over it.
Okay.
But my first car was a 96 Oldsmobile. It was actually my sister's car first. And it was gold. And that was probably maybe when I was like 20.
Okay.
2021. Like I said, I didn't get my license until I was 19. And I still didn't like drive right away in the car because I was like, okay. It's just all my friends I went away to college. I need to get a license.
Where was the first place you drove to?
The first place I drove to, I don't know, but probably my best friend's house, Kashonda at the time. Probably her house on the east side, 8 Mile and Kelly.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
You went to Eastland for the first time. I'm just messing.
That part.
Eastland.
I'm such a west side girl, too.
Eastland. The east side's Northland.
At least they still standing. Barely, but at least they still standing.
All right. So, next question. You're the DJ at the end of the fireworks. You get to play 2 songs. Woodward and Jefferson. What 2 songs you playing?
What? Oh Boy by the Cheddar Boys.
Okay.
I really love that song.
Okay. All right.
Oh boy, I don't see me on your beat. Like, yeah. Anyway, I'm playing that.
Tough tone. A Northwestern
Period.
student.
Yes.
Not necessarily, but student.
We'll keep it there.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I'm playing Oh Boy by Cheddar Boys. And I don't know, maybe some Aretha Franklin.
But what
I don't know what song. I don't know. I'm just going to say some Aretha Franklin. That's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I know.
I don't
can
know
think about
what
right now.
I don't know what plays off of Oh Boy per se.
I don't know, but if you're a real good producer, you would figure it out.
Hilarious.
Challenge to all you
Hilarious.
music producers out there.
We're gonna pick as I love as I love the Queen of Slow. So from that we're gonna say Freeway of Love. We're gonna say that just because.
Somebody mix that. Somebody mix that for us. Challenge to the DJs.
And last question. You could rename Woodward after one Detroiter, who would it be and why?
Y'all gonna be mad at me, but Kwame. Because y'all so mad at him, and I don't like that.
Okay. Well,
That's for real. Kwame. Like, I know he did what all the other politicians do, and we expected more, but it was epic seeing him, and I don't care what nobody say. And I still love a lot of stuff he did. So Kwame, because for all the haters.
Interesting.
Yeah, another conversation for another day, too.
It's so funny because Mayor Coleman Young is the answer most times for most people. But millennials seem to definitely say Mayor Kilpatrick often. So definitely a lot of take.
Because that was our black mayor, right? Like, that's who we really got to see and really got to feel. Now, if you went to history, we know, okay, I'm into history, I get it. But that was our representation. That's who we saw. That's who we, maybe voted for. Like, yeah, so.
Yeah, I think that Mayor Kilpatrick and his administration, so much more promise could have been done from him. But also, when I think of his just oratory skills alone,
and I think sometimes,
brilliant.
Politics is so funky, right? But we just got to think about the concept of his influence. Like, really seeing a black man, again, for our generation, we in high school, or whatever, just do what he does. And like you said, stand and just be such a great speaker and stand in his big blackness. He was a big black dude, okay? And he came fresh and all that. So that just built a lot of confidence. And I felt like it encouraged more black people and black men who maybe want to get in politics or just be more educated and stuff. So sometimes we got to lean into that part of it too.
Yeah, I it's a lot. It's a lot. And I definitely a moment that
you had to be there.
Recharacterized. As you talk about, we need to tell our own stories.
Yep.
I definitely think the Mayor Kilpatrick story from the lens of a millennial that's black in Detroit is completely different than the way that even an older black person would tell it. And definitely traditional, what I consider predominantly white media would tell that story in what it's looked like in the arc. I can tell you this, though, about him. During the time of his court cases was one of the times that our local media made so much money. The scandal of it all. And we're watching some of this same theater play out in today's politics as well, just because people connect to this type of stuff. But, just the the industries associated with this, and also the way that the FBI pursued him, and rest in peace, Coleman. But Coleman Young as became immediate targets upon their space and place in office.
Like, I think it's okay for us to tell the good stuff. It's okay. We didn't see the bad. It's okay for us to tell the good side of what Kwame did do, again, even when it comes just down to the influence and just being a change maker in that way, even if that's all that we focus on. Like, it's okay for us to uplift our people. It's okay for us to put some respect on their name for the stuff that they did, because if all of us had a lens on us, our thoughts would be different.
I definitely think that. I think I just think it would be an interesting take, because just from doing this for so long.
Okay, let's do it.
Interesting. So,
Kwame, we're coming to tell your good story. So I'm gonna put this out here. We want to tell your story, the good side of it. So come see us, please and thank you.
All right. Peace.
Black revolutionaries, distillery owners, Italian fashion retailers, and Motown Grammy winners all share their best stories never before told in any other media outlets on Detroit is Different. Visit DetroitisDifferent.com or download the Detroit is Different app on Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store.